as I've progressed in this profession, the number one thing I've realized, man, is less is more. Some of the best coaches I've been able to be around have taught very few drills, but do a few things extraordinarily well. So I'm not super into the Twitter, all these fancy drills, net balls, bags, cones, bands. We're going to do a few drills, and obviously if we have an issue, we'll find a way to get that fixed. But everything we do at Idaho State, and anywhere that I don't care if I was coaching my son's team like you guys are, or if I was coaching it for the freaking Arizona Cardinals like one of my best friends is, I'm going to teach the same fundamentals and we're going to do the same thing. So they're really applicable. They're counterintuitive, so they're learned traits, but they're all consistent. So the 5 fundamentals that we play with, number 1 is stance and start. Number 2 is feet apart. Number 3 is hands inside. 4 is butt down. And finally, number 5 is eyes. Okay, so again, it's stance and start, feet apart, butt down, hands inside, eyes. Those are 5 things that I need on every play. Okay, regardless of protecting the quarterback, okay, gap scheme, zone scheme, inside zone, outside zone, it doesn't matter. I need those 5 things to show up on every play. All right, and so I'll briefly go through some of those things to make sure we're on the same page there. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a run progression and then get into protection. Now, if you guys feel like you want more run game stuff, let's do it. If you feel like we want more protection stuff, let's do it. But I'm going to hit a little bit of both, okay? And then talk a little bit about a fundamental drill that I do every day. But first thing was stance, okay? Very similar to what Coach Rundle was talking about with the stance. I'm not going to overcoach it, right? I got guys that are 6'7", okay, and I got guys that are like my height to 5'10", okay? So the biggest thing is very similar to what we were talking about with linebackers. I've got to be able to obviously move in all directions, right? So we got to be able to set to my left, we got to set to my right, I got to be able to step with my left foot. You guys understand that. So with the stance, okay, like I'm not a big stickler on how wide your base is, how tight your base is. Can you move productively and efficiently out of your stance? Okay, but with that being said, I will correct their stance if they're having an issue with their pull, or if they're having an issue with taking a false step out of their stance. We'll tighten their base, we'll widen their base accordingly. If they can be comfortable and move around effectively, I'm good. Okay, so stance and start, it's obviously it's pretty simple, but even guys in the NFL, I get the opportunity to go out to different NFL OTA camps, okay, even as coach there, right? If you have a crappy stance, you're gonna have a crappy play, right? So we're building those fundamentals from the ground up. So the first thing, stance and start. Just to kind of give you guys an idea, I'm good. Coach Runda talked about with the linebackers having those toes kind of slightly inside so we can talk about, okay? We want our toes slightly open so I can open my hips up, all right? So rather than having them tight or straight, I'm okay with them being slightly open so I can kind of grip that ground with my insteps, okay? All my knees slightly inside my toes slightly open, okay? And then put my hand down however we do it. If you want to coach a 2-point stance, that's great. One thing I've found with my guys, I got a tackle I've been coaching for 5 years. Okay, he likes to get lazy with the arch of his back and put these right here. If you're coaching 2-point stance, I think it's pretty important to make sure they put their hands on their thigh boards. That way I'm engaging my lat, my core, in my stance, so I'm ready to rock and roll. Okay, so that's stance and start. The second thing is feet apart. Okay, everything we do in offensive line play has to happen with the base. All right, so nothing that we do, okay, is ever going to be good if I have my feet together. All right, so some things I talk about with their feet. Okay, and this is straight from one of the best coaches ever lived, who passed away, Howard Mudd. Wider, faster, sooner. Okay, so wider than you think you should, faster than you think you should move, and get those feet freaking wide as soon as possible. So everything we do, we're going to play with the base. So that's really important for us. Okay, so stance and start, feet apart. Third one is butt down. Okay, growing up, right, it was always, hey, you better be lower than the defender. Okay, and I think that's important. Pad level's key. Right, but what do you tell a kid that's a lot taller than the rest of the guys he's playing against? Is he going to get his eyes under everybody's shin? Probably not. Okay, so as long as I have that butt down and I'm playing with what we call posture, I'm going to be in decent shape. All right, so when we're running tight zone, we have a moniker of keeping those eyes under the chin. But for guys that are really tall, you just talk about having that butt down. Make sure you're in good position with your butt down. You're able to bend your knees, hips, and ankles. Right? So knees, hips, and ankles, I'm able to get down there. I'm as unflexible as they come, but if I can do it, these freaking guys can do it. So butt down, okay? So stance, start, feet apart, butt down, hands inside. I'm gonna hit this one quick because Coach Runda already hit it, okay? If the elbows are tight, the hands are right. And I'm gonna steal what he talked about. I never heard him say that with the thumbs. That's great, okay? But if the elbows are tight, the hands are right. And I talk a lot about my guys about their elbows rubbing the rib cage, okay? I really believe, though, you win the rep with your lower body. So we talk about winning with our feet all the time. I'm new to Idaho State. I just got there in the spring. We've just kind of now in the summer gotten to talking about exactly what I want with the hands, because I believe the game is won with the lower body and the feet. Okay, you got to be violent with the feet, you got to win with your feet. Okay, and then finally, the last fundamental is your eyes. right? That's going to be dependent on the scheme, okay? That's going to be dependent on whatever you're running, okay? But whatever it is, these guys need to understand where their eyes are going and why they're going there, okay? So for whatever run scheme it is, I've given them a progression of, hey, this is where you're looking, whether it's to the point, okay, or it's to essentially the middle of the cylinder, right? They know where their eyes should be and what direction they should be going, what they're looking for. I think that's really important. Something that's kind of overcoached at every level is the eyes, okay? And then in protection, I keep it really simple. I'm looking right at the middle of the cylinder, okay? Like I'm getting right down the middle of the cylinder, and that's where I want my eyes, okay? So those things will change every time. So those base fundamentals, to me, are really important, okay? In order to rep those things and build that, we talk a lot about the word posture. If you come to one of my offensive line meetings, if I gave $1 to every kid, when I said posture, I'd go broke really quickly. Posture is every fundamental built from the ground up. So if I put stance to start plus feet apart plus butt down plus hand to side plus eyes, that would equal posture. We say posture all the time. Run game protection doesn't matter. All right. This is an everyday drill, just like Coach Rundle was talking about with the defense. I call this the weave. When I do this, I have those flat boards. Okay, when I was coaching in Western Colorado, we couldn't afford them, so I went to Lowe's and just bought some freaking pieces of wood and sanded them. Okay, but for this, I'll use the bags. Okay, and this is just getting these guys to understand how to play with those base fundamentals. It's just a body position drill, which again I think is really important. So first thing we do is just go 2 feet through. So I'm just going here, bang, 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 and I'm giving a little bit of finish, and then that's good. All right. Obviously, go a little bit quicker than that. So I'll go up and back, up with the right, back with the left. Okay, once I've gone twice there, now I'm doing the same thing, but I'm putting 2 feet through. Okay, so I'm here, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and I'm finishing. Right, so I go up and back with that. Okay, once they've done that, now we take 4 steps in between each bag. All right, some key coaching points throughout the entire thing. If you want to help these guys be a little bit more able to understand what you're looking for, you want to be smooth, not mechanical. Okay, you want to go fast but not hurry. All right. During this one, you want to have 16 smooth steps. So in this case, now I'm putting 4 steps in between. So I'm here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I take 4 steps and I finish. All right, so I'm gonna get started with Coach Runda. All right, so that's the progression there. And again, we're gonna do this every day. If Coach Hopkins tells me I got 10 minutes of Indy and that's all I have, I'm taking 5 minutes here because you have to be able to play that with that body position every snap. All right, finally, the last thing that we'll do is the protection aspect of this, okay? Not to get into it too much, I don't really teach a lot of like kicking and posting. We're more setting to the middle of the cylinder. Regardless of what you teach, the most important thing in protection, in my opinion, is to have posture on contact, okay? So when I make contact with a defender, regardless of whether I'm teaching a kick and a post, or I'm teaching to get to the middle of the cylinder and stay square with the defender, it doesn't matter. When I make contact with the defender, am I in good position, okay? So the last thing we do with this drill is this just to weave through. So we start on one side and I'm just here. Getting all the way around, making sure I stay center. I'm walking up and I'm weaving all the way through. We go up and back, okay? So that's an everyday drill I do with those guys to, again, just try to emphasize how important it is to play with those fundamentals and play with that body position regardless of what play or scheme that we're doing, okay? We don't have a ton of time. Would we rather talk run game or protection?